We'll call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. It's nice to see you here tonight. We will, as usual, start with a prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and then roll call.
Let's pray. Lord, I thank you for this time. I thank you for this time of year. I thank you for sending your Son. Lord, I pray for guidance and wisdom for our council, for the people that are here. And Lord, I pray that you give us guidance to continue forward in the village of Hicksville. Lord, we thank you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Steve, for doing that prayer for us.
I lost my robe.
You don't like to be described that way.
Baker. Yep. Barth.
Here.
Bassett. Here. Beverly.
Yes, ma'am.
Jones. Ridgway.
Present.
Thank you. You have the November 19th regular council meeting minutes in your packet. Are there any questions or corrections? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve them.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Jones.
Yes.
Bassett.
Yes.
Baker. Yes. Ridgway.
Yes.
Beverly.
Yes.
Barth.
Yes.
Thank you. You have approved bills, 2 pages of approved bills list in your packet. Are there any questions?
There's one on tonight's ECC Technologies for almost $2,800. What's that one?
That's for EMS billing software once a year.
Cheryl, what about the emergency reporting for 2927?
That is the one the fire department and EMS both use to report to the state.
Are these being approved tonight?
It's the 2666 on the second page. Number 19795.
For the sign? Those are, he has invoices for the sign, that's what it is.
So what's the total cost to us?
Back.
Chance to look at that.
It is 2666.26.
Is the total cost to us?
They said about 35, so.
I'm not complaining, I just wanted to know.
Any other questions?
There are no other questions, Mayor, let's pay these bills.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Barth.
Abstain.
Baker.
Yes.
Beverly.
Yes.
Bassett.
Yes.
Ridgway.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
We have Lisa Weiner from Fort Defiance Humane Society tonight that wants to speak to us. And Lisa, if you would come up to the podium, please, that would be great.
I guess that's all in there, yeah.
You want to turn that mic so it's actually...
Thank you.
Thank you for having us tonight. It's a pleasure. We are here, and it's regarding funding for next year for our shelter. I think most of you are aware that we went through a major restructuring at the end of 2017, late fall in 2017, and we restructured everything from our staff to our board to operations, everything from head to toe in what we do and how we do it. The shelter prior to that closing and had a lot of financial issues and just a lot of issues in general, so it needed to be done. Put a lot of time and effort into doing that over the last year. And with that, we've also been looking very closely and clearly at our data that we're getting in and data on not only the dogs that we take in, but also the felines. And when we took over in 17, the shelter actually had stopped taking felines in, and that was certainly not a good thing to do from the public's perspective, but from a financial perspective, there was no other choice at that time. We started taking them again in January of this year. We've been taking them the entire year, and doing well as far as taking them in, getting them spay and neutered, getting all of their vaccinations, preventative maintenance, things like that. All of that is working out well. We do have limited space, certainly at the shelter for cats, but we've been really making a concerted effort this year to take as many as we absolutely can. In addition to that, we are really trying to combat the overpopulation problem, and I know you all are familiar with it here in Hicksville at the fairgrounds, and it's all over our county. It really is. It's a problem. We are running monthly, in collaboration with Hope for Animals, we're running a monthly run to Fort Wayne. It's a low-cost spay and neuter process program for the public. So we facilitate that at the shelter. We do that every month. And since we restructured and reopened everything, we've also added a surgical suite at the shelter. So our vet, who's one from here, Dr. Karen Pedden, she comes over every Friday, does spays and neuters of our animals, and we're also doing at least once a quarter, we're doing it for the public. So another opportunity for low-cost spay and neutering to try to combat the problem. We also provide traps for our more, I'll say, our more dedicated citizens that are willing to go out and trap some of the feral cats, bring them in, we get them fixed at a very low cost, and then release them. So we went back and looked at our data through August of this year, just to try to get a good handle on where we felt things were with costs and things all surrounding the felines. And at that point, we had accepted over 100 cats, which then our projection through the rest of the year was going to be over 150, just coming to the shelter that we needed to adopt out. Looked at our cost per animal, and truly, we are, one of the things we're most proud of is the services we can provide, and that we are sending animals home, both dogs and cats, not sending them home until they're spay and neutered and they have they're up to date on vaccines and all of the medical needs that they have at that point. So when somebody comes in to adopt, it's the good news is when they're paying the adoption fee, everything is done for them. That's how we wanted to reopen our shelter and make it a good public service for our community. But with all of that, obviously, as you would imagine, there's lots of costs in that. So we looked at our data, and we are averaging around $300 per cat. And I'll say it's really per animal. While our dogs, we can get them out quicker and turned around faster to the public for adoption. So they're their average of about 14 to 17 days. Your cats are less, I'll say less labor, but they're there for a longer period of time. They're a little harder to get adopted out. So all in all, our average cost per cat and per dog really is right around that $300 mark. For cats, you cannot get as much for adoption fee as you can for dogs. That's just how it is. And so even though we factor in a full adoption fee, we're still at a deficit with every cat that we take in. What we're looking for, what we're asking of both Defiance City, Hicksville City, and our Defiance County commissioners, we are asking for some assistance. As you go into planning your 2019, we're asking for some assistance at the shelter to help with the funding for the cats. Not just the cats that come in, but more importantly, to help us combat the overpopulation and be able to continue to offer services to the public, low-cost spay and neuter services to the public, so we can try to get at least a little bit under control with this problem. We, again, did some basic numbers based on our intake numbers, and of that deficit that we will run this year, the $35,000 deficit on cats, again, the difference between what it cost us versus our adoption fees. We took that number and we took the percentages of cats that we know we get from the City of Defiance, those that we know we get from the City of Hicksville, and then those that we don't know about that come in as, that people drop off, they come in as strays, what have you, those we've tagged to Defiance County in general. And so with that math, if you will, we're looking at the City of Defiance being the primary there at 43%, Hicksville at 17%, and all else falling under Defiance County at 40%. So we are asking for help with half of that $35,000 deficit and splitting that up between those three entities. That is our ask of you tonight. For Hicksville, we are just a little shy of $3,000, makes up that 17%, and we are hoping that you consider that as you go forward with your 2019 budget. Questions?
Did you say that your numbers indicate that you've gotten close to 100 cats from Hicksville?
No, through August, we had 100 cats come in general, our intake on cats, and with that, we projected we're going to be a little over 150 total for the year, just coming into the shelter that we then, spay and neuter and vaccinate and then turn over for adoption. We've had, and of that, our counts show about 17% are attributed to Hicksville. Then in addition to that, we're also doing the monthly and quarterly low-cost spay and neuter clinics for the public. So kind of two separate entities there.
What reaction do you have from Defiance and the county?
Defiance, the City of Defiance, Mayor McCann included it in their budget. They're going through their approval process right now, so they did put our full request into the budget for 19. And then the commissioners we met with actually last Thursday, and they too they didn't make a final decision, we just presented, but they were very positive with the information, and that's something that we've talked about with them going into next year, is trying to get on a more regular basis, maybe quarterly, doing a broader spay and neuter type of event, if you will, getting some other local veterinarians that will volunteer their time, pick a Saturday, even once a month, once a quarter, and get it in multiple locations as opposed to it just being Dr. Pedden doing them all.
Question. Just for the public's interest, how is the Humane Shelter funded generally right now?
The shelter is funded primarily by public donation. So while we also take in the county's dog warden dogs, that's just a separate contract basically with them. But outside of that, we are completely funded by donations and obviously grants if we apply for those.
Sure.
Maybe you mentioned, but like we'll say somebody has a complaint here, have cats all over, you wouldn't come, dog catcher has to do that, right?
Actually, the dog catcher has he has nothing to do with cats. In the ORC, there is strictly with
But you
dogs.
guys wouldn't come,
We don't come out and get dogs
So it's
or cats.
volunteer,
What we
okay.
have done, though, over Labor Day, we did come to the fairgrounds and trapped, and Dr. Pedden did a bunch of spays and neuters at that point, and then we released them. The fairgrounds, I know, is a big issue here, and that's, I think Stacy had talked about doing it. We're going to certainly do it again next year and do it, I think, prior to fair is a better time of year to do it. We could certainly target doing it again in the spring when it gets, obviously the spring kittens come out. But that's what we want to do more of and get some other vets involved, and that will help volunteer and just help, with numbers, really. Dr. Pedden's really doing all that she can do and more for us currently. So we've done, on each of our quarterly public runs, we've done anywhere between 80 and 120 at any given day that we pick. So it's certainly well received. And our goal next year is to also apply for some additional grants and grant programs that will possibly allow us to do, free to the public and just pay for our cost to take over low-cost spay and neutering on a more regular basis.
Right now, private individuals pretty much bring in the cats as needed.
They do, yep. We have sign-ups, we post it out on Facebook whenever we're having one of our local sessions, and our Hope Runs go every month. They're already scheduled out for all of next year. So that information's out there, they're well-received from the public. Every month it's busy, every quarter that we do one, it's very busy. So that's the good news, we're getting good reception, and people are willing to help, and there's a lot of citizens out there that are, like I said, willing to even come get our traps, go out and trap the feral ones, which isn't always an easy job, bring them to us, pick them up, take them back and release them. So we've got a great community support. So it's just trying to keep that momentum going at this point.
Do you look at this as going to be an annual request?
I don't know that I can answer that right now because I want to apply for grants next year. And grants are, if anybody that's familiar with grant writing, I was not until a year ago, so I had to learn quickly. But a lot of them are very time dependent. You can't just go and apply anytime you feel like it. They're scheduled throughout the year. So we didn't get in on a lot of that this year because of the work we were doing internally. So my goal is to hit that head on starting in January and really apply for anything we're eligible for. So I hope not, but this is kind of short term.
Anybody else have any other questions? Yeah.
That 17%, is that village, as the village, or is that Hicksville address?
Those are Hicksville addresses.
So that's not all inside the village?
Correct.
So that's not a true figure?
That's the data, yeah, that's the data that we have. We just went by the city that it came from.
Right, because there's residents outside, with an account outside the village, will have a Hicksville address.
Gotcha.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'd like to make a comment. I've had dealings this year with the shelter, and I think they're a very caring bunch, and they're concerned with what they're doing, and I think it's a very good cause.
Thank you for your input. All right.
If we were able to do, I'm just saying, if we were able to do, where would that money come from out of the budget? I mean...
No, we were passing our budget tonight, but I don't know.
Oh, because we've never done this before, have we?
No.
As far as like...
Probably not.
That's a question for Cheryl.
There is an account for that.
There is.
Which is what? What's the name of it?
We've never used it before.
Really?
In the general fund.
Or any.
Okay. Or any.
It's one for a contribution, and it's just general.
We didn't do that for the Veterans Memorial.
We did that out of grounds the year before last. And we did the memorial commemoration this year out of grounds.
But Mark made a good point, so some of this might be county money that should be earmarked, man.
I can't answer that. The data we get in, it's the addresses that we get in.
There's a lot of Hicksville, like Mark said.
Yeah. Again, the Hicksville percentage is a pretty low percentage overall. But based on our intake information, those are the percentages we came up with.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
Yep. I guess we'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Jennifer Casternano,
Casternano. Sorry I'm late. I was at North Main Street, which is not...
Oh, well, you're right on time.
Good. good. I was stressed for a minute there.
Aw. Jennifer's going to give us some information on some work that the Defiance County Health Department and others are doing.
I have your hard copy too.
All right.
Thank you.
Alright, so like Jenny said, my name's Jen. I work in the health department. And every 3 years, we do an assessment of the county. And we look at the health status as well as several other socioeconomic factors. This time around, we got 430 adult surveys back, 467 youth surveys, and 281 child surveys. The adult and child surveys are mailed out, and the youth portion are done in the schools. And we were able to get a confidence interval under 5 for the adult and youth and just slightly over the child. So that means that it's statistically significant, which we're happy about. So we saw a decrease in the Defiance County adults who rated their health as excellent or very good. The percent of uninsured adults went from 6% in 2015 to 12% in 2018. And we saw an increase in Defiance County adults who visited a doctor for routine checkup in the past year. The top 3 reasons uninsured adults gave for being without health care coverage, or they could not afford to pay the premiums, they lost their job or changed employers, or they became ineligible. We saw an increase in current smokers from 15% in 2015 to 19% in 2018. It's the first time we've seen an increase in 10 years, so it's something that kind of caught our attention. We also saw a decrease in the number of people trying to quit smoking from 53 to 41%. So we have more people smoking and less people trying to quit. The most popular tobacco products were cigarettes, cigars, and vaping products. Adult obesity. We saw an increase in Defiance County adults who were obese from 36 to 40%. We did see a decrease in the adults who were overweight, but unfortunately we assume that they just have moved to the obese category. So just overall, 72% of Defiance County adults were either overweight or obese by body mass index. 41% of adults were trying to lose weight. 24% of adults ate 5 or more servings of fruits or vegetables per day, and 23% of adults did not participate in any physical activity in the past week. Adult alcohol consumption. 56% of Defiance County adults had at least one alcoholic drink in the past month, which was an increase from 2015. 25% of adults were binge drinkers, and 48% of current drinkers were binge drinkers. So the adults who are drinking are binge drinking. We did see some decreases in the preventative screenings for women. We saw a decrease in clinical breast exams from 73% in 2015 to 56% in 2018. 62% has had a mammogram in the past 2 years. But the decreases we're seeing are sort of because of the recommendations that doctors are giving. They're changing, so we're kind of watching that as well. Adult quality of life and mental health. We saw an increase in adults who were limited in some way because of physical, mental, or emotional problems from 39% in 2015 to 47% in 2018. 2% considered attempting suicide in the past year. 11% of Defiance County adults had a period of 2 or more weeks where they felt sad, blue, or depressed nearly every day. And that increases to 23% of those who have incomes less than $25,000. So something that we've been working on the past 3 years was injury prevention. So as a part, well, we look at the data and then we get together and we come up with the community health improvement plan. So the last time around we looked at injury prevention, and one of the things that we were concerned about was mature adults or seniors falling. So we were happy to report that we saw a decrease in adults who have fallen in the past 6 months. We implemented a program called A Matter of Balance. It addresses fear of falling, and it gives mature adults exercises to practice to strengthen their muscles, and it also helps with their confidence. And I believe that that program was really popular here in Community Memorial. I think there was like a wait list or something. Has anyone ever heard of adverse childhood experiences? So adverse childhood experiences is a score, and it's a tally of different types of abuse, like neglect and other harmful signs of a rough childhood. So according to research, the rougher your childhood, the more rough your childhood is, the higher your ACE score, and that is a predictor for other health problems and risky behaviors. So 10% of adults, Defiance County adults, experienced 4 or more ACEs. And people who experience 4 or more ACEs are more likely to engage in risky behaviors. So 44% who have had 4 or more ACEs smoke, compared to 15% who do not experience any ACEs. And you can really see this with the youth. Like, you can see the drastic changes in the numbers. Youth weight status. So the same trend where we have an increase in obese youth and a decrease in the overweight. Unfortunately, again, they're moving into that obese category. We saw an increase in youth trying to lose weight by exercising, but a decrease in youth eating less to lose weight, which I thought was kind of interesting. We also saw a decrease in youth who watched 3 or more hours of TV per day. That was 23% in 2015, and it's down to 16% in 2018. But that doesn't take into account, tablets, cell phones, computers, so that still is something we're concerned about. Youth alcohol consumption. So youth alcohol and tobacco and other drugs were also a part of our last health improvement plan. And under the Drug Free Coalition, we have a small group of students called the Drug Free Leadership Council. And we get the kids together and we come up with social norming messages to kind of encourage their peers to stay away from drugs and alcohol. So we were, again, happy to report that we saw a decrease in youth ever drinking alcohol from 50% in 2015 to 41% in 2018. And youth current drinkers reported that the top 3 ways they obtained alcohol were someone gave it to them, a parent gave it to them, or someone older bought it for them. We also saw a decrease in youth who ever tried smoking from 23% in 2015 to 15% in 2018. And the top 3 forms of tobacco used were e-cigarettes, cigarettes, and flavored cigarettes. So youth are definitely using e-cigarettes more than the adults are. But the adults are catching up. 14% of Defiance County youth had seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year. And 7% attempted suicide in the past year. 40% of Defiance County youth reported academic success caused them anxiety, stress, or depression. And again, the adverse childhood experiences, more than 1/4, so 27% of youth had 3 or more adverse childhood experiences. So 15% of those who experienced 3 or more ACEs attempted suicide, compared to the 1% who did not have any ACEs. And the same, you can see there's marijuana, 16% for those with 3 or more ACEs, and 4% who did not have any ACEs. The social determinants of health. 23% of Defiance County youth were in a physical fight in the past 12 months. 11% did not go to school because they felt unsafe. 62% of parents reported that they always felt like their child was safe at school. So it was kind of interesting to see the difference in the parent versus the child perception of safety. Although the survey was administered around the time of the Parkland shooting, so I don't know if maybe that played an impact on how they responded to some of the questions. Bullying's down across the board. 93% of Defiance County youth had a social media or online gaming account, but only half of Defiance County youth believe that sharing information online is dangerous. And onto our child section. So children 0 to 5 years old who had public insurance did not change. It didn't change, so it's the same, it remains at 27%. The children 6 to 11 who had public insurance decreased from 19 to 9%, which I thought was interesting, splitting it up by age group. 95% of children aged 0 to 5 have been to the doctor for preventative care in the past year. And 90% of Defiance County children received all their recommended vaccinations. We saw an increase in breastfeeding moms, and we saw 35% of parents reported that they read to their child every day, and that's up from 19% in 2015. And we also saw a decrease in children who spent 4 or more hours watching TV from 19% to 9%. But again, with the screen time, we don't know. I'm assuming that they're on a tablet or something. Right, and we, again, back to our injury prevention. So our injury prevention portion of our community health improvement plan included child passenger safety and safe sleep. So we did see an increase in children running in car seats and parents who put their child to sleep on their back. So we were happy about that too. So we are actually now in the community health improvement plan process, and we've identified 3 priority groups. So those priority groups are chronic disease, and that includes obesity and heart disease, mental health and substance use, alcohol use, suicide and depression, and injury prevention. So adult falls, drinking, or texting and driving, safe sleep, and child passenger safety. So we do have 2 more meetings coming up for our community health improvement plan, January 10th and January 31st. You are all invited. We would love to have you. Any questions for me regarding any of the data or anything that you found interesting?
Did you ever compare Defiance County to surrounding counties?
Yep.
Williams County, Henry County, Pollock County?
Yes. So fortunately, we use the hospital council to do our surveying. They analyze the data and they put it all together in the report for us. And they do the same reports for the surrounding counties. But most of the trends are the same within the county. The full report's available on our website too. It's like 300 pages.
There is a lot of information.
There certainly is. And definitely, if you would like to, use it, because it's local data, and you can use it if you're writing a grant or looking for funding to show need. So if you're writing a narrative and they ask you why they should have the money, you can say, well, our data shows this, and you can use it. So.
Any other questions from anyone present? Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for your time, and I'm sorry I was late.
No, you're
Just right on time.
You didn't have to sit around and wait.
All right, well, thank you. Have a great evening.
Was it kind of dead down there on North Main Street, you know?
Well, and I have to go drive through the Christmas lights.
Ah, okay. Good.
Enjoy.
All right, we will go on to boards and commissions. I don't think we have any boards and commissions here to report on anything, unless the cemetery does, or? Nope. All right. How about going on to the council committee reports? The finance committee have minutes in the packet. Would you like to report on your meetings?
Just met back on the 19th, well, about 3 hours, and then on the 28th, finished up with the police chief and then the park representative, and I think you got your first draft, or the draft here tonight. I'm not sure if it gets voted on, or, anyway, any questions on the appropriations?
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right. Are there any other committees that would like to give a report? Committees of council? Anybody? Okay. We will go on to the administrator's report.
The only thing I had was based on that email I sent to everybody, we need to make some decisions on the new Welcome to Hicksville sign, so I know how to proceed, and so the other individuals know what's going on too. I think there's some confusion over what's happening next.
Troy, having read this, do you have any thoughts on the matter about what we are required to do since it's not on our property and that kind of stuff?
Well, I think Kent got that information that from an insurance standpoint, we could pass a resolution saying that it's, I guess that would be assuming responsibility for the sign and then having it covered. I guess as a practical matter, Kent could answer this, having it added to our insurance with the level of property and stuff we have on there, I suspect is a slight, it's not going to cost anything to have it added on there. And it is in a spot where you hope it won't be, but it's right out there in the open, and slippery weather, somebody falling asleep, somebody drunk, or somebody comes back into town, they could smack it, real easy. And I guess the question would be, if we don't do something, who is there to do something? And the question keeps coming up, well, somebody hits it with their car insurance would be responsible. That still requires somebody to go after them to make them responsible. So would that be the village? I guess it's not going to be the factory out there, and there's no other group out there like with the other signs. The Kiwanis clearly have taken responsibility for those. They have an ongoing it's not like there's a nonprofit that came to us and asked us to help with these signs, and they could continue to bear the responsibility for it like the Kiwanis say have. And so I guess the issue really is, if we don't do it, who's going to do it? And the answer to that probably is nobody. It is a practical matter. And I guess that's the kind of...
I would like to ask Taylor, what is the group that we wrote the check to? Who is that?
There's not a group.
Okay.
BABH?
Okay.
That's a personal LLC. It's not a group.
Okay.
Who's that?
What's that?
Who is that?
That's myself.
But I guess that's where my, obviously, there's ongoing issues, because I assume, and I don't know all the details like Kent does, but he's talking to AEP about power, or whoever about power, and so there's going to be an ongoing electric bill, presumably.
Yeah, and I guess that's where all this is getting frustrating for me. Nothing you guys did. I understood from the one meeting when Justin was here, and I thought you all heard it, where he said AEP was going to deal direct with us, not with this other organization. That's fine. His human being got with me, and that's where I'm meeting with them tomorrow. That's where I was assuming, and maybe I was assuming incorrectly, that meant we were taking over responsibility of the sign. Why would we be putting in the electric and footing that cost, and then the monthly bill, whatever that is, if it's not our sign? But that's why I was hearing different versions from council people. That's why I thought...
Did you have something else, Tyler?
I was going to say BABH Properties is not responsible. I'm not the one that footed the bill for the sign. The community was. There had to be some entity to withdraw the funds from the fundraiser.
Understand.
That's all it is.
I think the village needs to take over responsibility.
Definitely. I agree. We've put money towards it, so I think we should. It's just...
Pay the electric bill. Just so you know, right, for the insurance purposes.
Kent's got something, so, I'll probably...
Yeah, Conrad sent a template for like a simple order.
Just like a resolution that says, hey, there's property that, that's on somebody else's property. We think it's appropriate. We're responsible for, the sign, we think it's appropriate to have it insured, and if we do that and pass that, then he'll insure us,
We
basically.
need something from Fort Worth Power?
I mean, it's a good, at a minimum, I'd say you'd have like a license to occupy a portion of their property or something.
For a designated amount of time also.
Yeah.
Don't want to go through all this and then
Right.
say they change hands again or something.
Right, well, something that's on there relative to their real estate, and like you said, a license is, for lack of a better term, less offensive than an easement, because it only gives you like a right to be on the property, to have something on there. And you could put something to the extent on, so long as the sign's in existence or whatever, for some reason, 25 years from now it's gone or whatever like that, then it would just terminate on its own. But it basically gives us the right to have the AEP people on their property, have our people on there if there's something that does need to be done, whatever it is, a light bulb needs changed or something, I mean, I don't know what all's involved, but something.
I think we definitely should pursue that.
Yeah.
So what do you need tonight? Just a motion to accept responsibility?
Would that be good enough, or do we have to draft like a formal resolution to it?
You should probably bring back like a template thing.
I'll
next
bring
time,
back
but
and just add to the template that Conrad sent us.
I guess I'm kind of scratching my head. I gathered from some comments I was getting that people were going to be opposed to us doing anything. I mean, you're sure this is what you want?
Yep.
I don't want to hear any groans.
You're this far into it, what are you going to do? What's the other option?
Well, I know. That's why when I talked to Justin today, I said I wasn't expecting to hear some of the concerns that I did last week when I sent the email out. Now tonight I'm hearing everybody's all for it. So, sorry, something got.
Didn't reply.
I did. Did you misread?
Not everybody, you can't say everybody.
Well, no, but
You, a couple of them replied. By the time you think about it.
I replied, I said I think we should take responsibility since we put money into it, but I said I wasn't in favor of putting money in towards more signs in the future. We'd cut our budget 20%. That's what my comment was.
I think overall the sign looks nice. I think Dave did a great job in designing the placement. I think it was better moving it up where it is now. And I think it looks nice coming into town. I would like to see the lights on it, but again, I think for the city in general to take responsibility, I think it's a wise decision.
well, that's fine. I mean, I'll meet with AEP tomorrow. See why I let know. Because I don't know what electrician you guys are using.
Darren Brown is who.
Okay, well, I can just get with Darren then too, but.
I heard a voice from over that direction that said solar. Has that been considered?
Yeah, so I went to the Amish there in Grayville and talked to them. A lot of them sell solar, and a real good solar panel is quite a bit of money. We can go to Menards or Lowe's and buy a cheap little solar light and stick it in the ground, and in 2 months it just barely trickles, and throw it out and do it again. But unless you do it right, the Amish said that it doesn't last very long, and I don't think, from talking to a bunch of people who don't want this to be a real maintenance issue or people have to keep dealing with it.
Exactly.
So I thought the right thing it would be to just put in an electric and have a good light on it. The Gathering Place is a perfect example of light on their sign. I mean, it sticks out a lot at night. And yeah, a solar light could be an option, but I think it'll be a trickle in a couple months, and I don't think it'll look very
I've never, ever investigated solar lighting, so I didn't know. I mean, as far as, cost as opposed to one or the other.
Just put a panel on the back. I really wanted AEP, so I've talked to AEP numerous times and trying to get them to set the meter on. Just come off, first off, I just want them to come off the light pole and go down and not put a meter and just come up with a fixed price. Like, have you guys ever seen the big lights that they put in the parking lot you can get through AEP? It's $40 a month, they just charge you a flat rate. So I thought, could we just tie into the street light, come down and put a light and just shine it and not go through the whole meter process? And they said, no, there's no light that's that small that they have a estimate usage a month for. So they want to set a meter, which stinks. So there's really no, in my opinion, a real good spot to set a meter out there, because you're going to have a 4x4 or a 6x6 sticking up in the middle of nowhere with a meter on it.
Well, usually they put it on the pole now.
Yeah.
They won't. They won't do it, they won't put it on the pole anymore. So at Casa Grande, the meter's on the pole, and I took the guy there, and Kent's been talking to the guy, they're very peculiar. I took him there and said, right here's a perfect example, the meter's on the pole. He said, oh, that's grandfathered in, we don't do that anymore. I said, well,
I find that hard to believe.
if you guys can
I thought
get
it had to
it,
be.
I've tried and
Because they do it for a demarc, unless they have gone to a point, unless they have to maintain.
what they told me. I think it'd be perfect to come off the back street light, put the meter there, underground the wire in where we put.
Is there a pole real close there?
Right beside it.
Oh, cool.
If you can get it to pull it off, great, because that's the way it should be.
I agree with Larry, that, I went through that over Spalding Putnam, but I went through that. They wouldn't come to my building, which is only from me to Larry.
So they just put it on the pole.
They set a pole right there, right by my door.
Are you talking, they set a pole or they put on an existing telephone pole?
It's a span pole, so they just put it on it.
Gotcha. The nicest thing, in my opinion, would be if they would put the meter on the existing telephone pole that's already in the right of way, right off the street light, come down, so there's not an ugly eyesore of a pole. But I couldn't get them to do that. But they won't hardly talk to me at all because I'm not representing the city. They want the city, Who's paying the bill? Who's doing this?
Kent can guide us through, can't you, Kent? Buddy.
If they make us set a meter, and maybe I'm speaking out of line, I think, and Dave might, I don't know if we're really talking about this, but it'd be nice to put the meter on the back of the sign so you don't see it. Because if you put a pole, you know what I'm saying? If we hit it on the back of the sign that's there, the frame and the structure, then it wouldn't stick out like such an eyesore. But to do it the way they told us they were going to do it, it's going to look like an eyesore.
We designed it so that hopefully they would put it on the pole. We already run a pipe and everything underneath the concrete, so it's just a matter of running everything so we keep the wires down. We were hoping if they didn't put it on the pole, they'd at least put it on the back of the sign.
Right.
We even designed the pad for the concrete. We made it 4 by 12 so that there's no maintenance. So when they go to mow, they don't have to worry about anything. We're not doing any landscaping. We even set it up so that we've got a couple poles that we can mount into the concrete. So if they want to put like a Christmas tree out there, or we want to put pumpkins and corn shocks or something that we can do. You know, if somebody wants to take that on, it's there, it's available, and we're all within that concrete slab.
On your illumination, is it through the sign or shining on the sign?
It's shining from the front of the sign straight up
Okay.
towards the sign. So we kept everything in the concrete.
We put an outlet on the back side of the pole because I think it would look really neat. I went down to Defiance here last week and I saw that they had some decorations, some Christmas decorations out by their town sign. And I thought that, like the poles Dave's talking about, maybe we could get some fresh cut Christmas trees and zip time to the poles so they don't blow over and put Christmas lights on it. Or in the fall, do corn shocks and pumpkins. Kind of do it with the season instead of having a bunch of flowers and maintenance. I mean,
You got time for all that?
I don't, but Dave's wife. I'm not going to volunteer, Dave.
It's a lot.
It's a record now.
She's not here, so we can do that. No, but we thought it would be nice that if we set it up, it could be a community project. If somebody decided they wanted to put potted plants there for a season or a certain amount of time, artificial flowers or whatever, it's there to be used. And if they don't want to, it's fine.
Are there any electrical outlets on that sign or near?
Yeah, so we put electrical outlets on the back of the columns. It's, I hope that Ken can get the meter on the telephone pole would be the nicest for the eye.
Yeah.
One thing to be clear, yeah, is they'll probably go overhead here.
And then if they do that, it's gonna look ugly too. So they need to come down that pole and keep the conduit on, put the meter, and let us go to the meter. So there's no draping wire going and looking like an eyesore, but.
Well, the bad part about it, that pole belongs to Frontier, and they probably would be against that part.
People on Saturday pole.
Gotcha.
That's Frontier's pole? Well, that's out then.
Or they can set another pole off to it. The power company couldn't just run it down through there. And behind, 5 foot behind the Frontier pole. It's what they normally do.
And I doubt if they would just for a sign.
They're getting money. It's something to check into, I mean, but that, I can guarantee you, they probably won't attach the front.
Could we take like a 4x4, just a regular post, and tuck it up as close to the existing telephone pole that like kind of camouflage it? Put it just a couple inches off and put the meter on it?
There's where you probably have to get permission from FWT.
They've been super nice. I mean,
Yeah.
it would probably be more in the right of way. You know, to dig that whole area so we don't hit any of your lines.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Kent, do you have all the information you need?
I guess.
Are you happy?
No.
Is there anything you'd like to talk about?
Never is. Yeah, maybe later. I'm not, you guys are okay. I'm meeting them at 1, if you want to stop out. Because I don't mind having more people there to talk to this guy. But no, I'm fine. I'll get with Conrad and...
I'll say that when I met with the guy's name's Josh, I think, from AEP that come out, he said that it would be $20 a month to set a meter, and that's even if you don't use it. So back to saying, why don't you just let us tie into the light and pull the power and come up with a fixed price of $15. But anyway, so he said $20 to set the meter and then whatever the light uses. But he said if we put an LED light on it, it would use hardly peanuts of electricity. You're going to be paying more to just have that thing meter set. I went and looked at the poles coming out of the parking lot of FWT and seen if there's anywhere close that we could maybe trench to FWT and work a deal with them and say, give you $10 a month or something. You just write them a check for $120 and not deal with the meter and AEP, but I'm just telling you that's what they told me, $20 a month just to have that meter set.
It's hard to tell what FWT's poles electricity is anyway. Like the schools are all 480, so.
I think we need to get FWT to give us something in writing that we're welcome on their property before we do anything.
Well, certainly before we do any digging and
Okay, does anyone else, does anyone else have any questions for Kent for the administrator's report?
Nope.
Anything about what he's working on?
I just want to make a comment that Mike Sturry donated $250. I saw that on his bill.
Dave donated some money too.
Okay, thanks.
Don't forget about that, but doesn't matter.
For whoever's checking with FWT, the guy to talk to is Chris Moore. And I think he's out of Texas. Whoever's trying to get something in writing.
It's on my desk.
Okay, we'll go on to the solicitor's report.
First thing I have is ordinance 2018-15, first reading by caption only, the annual appropriation ordinance of the Hicksville Village. If Ron just made reference to that, if anybody's got questions about that. And then ordinance 2018-16, the first reading by caption only, an ordinance establishing pay ranges for village employees and declaring an emergency. You need this tonight?
I need it all done ASAP. We only have one more meeting this year.
Right.
But we can wait till the next meeting, or you need the 30 days?
If you do it the next meeting, it would definitely be an emergency.
Yeah, it would definitely be.
Has anybody got any questions on any of it? Maybe we can
Yes,
pass this
please.
emergency.
Well, do we want to put anything in for the fee line?
Oh, you're back talking about the appropriation.
I am. I mean, if the appropriations, I assume, would be ready to pass if everybody's looked at it. I mean, sure. Has everybody had a chance to study it and ask their questions to the committee about it and everything?
No.
Okay.
I'd like to, just me personally, I'd like to see us give a little bit of money to the humane shelter if we could. They work for the city in Knoll County or.
And hopefully they,
Take care of Hicksville.
people in Hicksville will go, well, we paid them money, so we'll take the cats down there and kind of help reduce this nasty population we have.
We had a discussion a while back with some individuals concerned about cats running around their neighborhood, and they were checking with the dog warden, he won't come and get them. So they were thinking somebody, if they trap them and take them over there, then they will take them from them. So
Need to educate the people to get their cats fixed.
Yep.
But if you go to a vet, I think,
I know, but some people just don't do it. They just leave their cat run all over and pregnant.
So I can move we suspend the rules, but then add this, what was that?
Feline, 75.
You said you haven't had a chance to review it?
What happens if the other,
I didn't know if
Defiance
anyone-
County doesn't pay and Defiance City doesn't pay?
I think they said the
City put it in their budget, the county,
the county's thinking about it.
The county's gonna.
I do not think the county is in support of this. I do not know.
Not from stuff I hear.
That's kind of what I've heard too.
well, okay.
I don't know that that affects what we do.
But that's exactly right, that, I mean,
But that's.
they may have totally different
Right.
reasons,
Yeah, they've
but
had some issues.
Dr. Pedden from outside of town here has done just a wonderful job of donating her time and energy.
Cheryl, will it
To help.
be a horrific thing if we let the budget and everything slide till next meeting?
And let the citizens
Fine.
think about this. We'll get some feedback on this, I'm sure.
Will it be, what did you say, fine?
Fine. It's the very last one of the year,
We have enough people here.
Exactly.
and we've already been having meetings that anybody could come to. If you have any questions, get them over with. Because the year's winding down and I need it
The
passed.
answer's no, Ron.
Plus you have an emergency meeting on this week.
I don't-
Well, let's,
You say you did?
I move we suspend the rules and add this to the budget.
I'll second. He
We have to
suspended,
make,
I
somebody
second.
have to make a motion to amend,
I did.
not to suspend the rules, but to amend.
To amend the appropriations, to add this.
To add that.
Okay.
And then
I'll
vote
make
on
that
all
motion.
that,
I'll make that
and
motion. Because she has a line item that she can take it out of.
Can't you just write it in and,
then we could do that too, if somebody wanted to.
Next meeting is fine, as long as you guys know it's going to get passed next meeting.
willing to
Please.
do it tonight if you want
Yeah,
it done.
I made the
but
motion.
just when-
No, not if I have to add something to it.
I say, let's, don't vote on my personal thing on the cat
Kitties?
thing. And deal with that. You know, put things up around town, let people donate, you know? Save the cat. Why add it to this and make it more complicated?
Well, it's not, I don't think it's real complicated, it's just that thinking
Nah.
people haven't had time to really look at this, they got it this morning.
Well, I agree with what Eric does. I mean, if we're the only one ends up paying, you know?
It's not gonna
It was in the packet.
Well, what happens if
It was
we
in
pay
the
and nobody else
packet.
pays, and then all of a sudden they don't accept cats, like they did
Yeah.
a year ago? That's my concern.
I mean, last month's packet.
So we could pass as emergency, and then maybe another meeting, we can bring it up and make a motion to fund this.
Just
Does it
let
have
it
to be
go
budget?
and do it next time.
You what?
You can let
So
it go,
just
do
add
it
it
next
in, and
time.
then we'll vote next time after we have the suspend the rules and do it as an emergency after the second. Well, one person can be.
So we need to suspend the rules to approve the appropriations.
No.
No, wait till next meeting.
Or wait till next
All right, I'll withdraw my
You're not going to
nomination.
be in Florida or anything, right? You are?
No, you're not.
And that's why he's going again.
Yes.
Can you make it contingent that if the others are
properly.
Yes.
There you go, Ron.
Move we suspend the rules on the pay ordinance.
Okay.
For pay raises, pay ranges? Second.
Yes.
Roll call.
Baker?
Yes.
Bassett?
I don't know, I think we still need to discuss that, but,
But we can,
well, they've changed some of the wages from what the one that was in our packet.
Only one.
just one.
Just one?
Who's? Ken's.
Ken.
No, two.
No.
Well, did you give yourself a raise?
No,
Sneak her in. I have it on my note this year. I seen three that didn't get,
The new police
which
chief.
ones got changed up, and that's.
Yeah.
I said, I was fine not getting bumped up.
Where the hell's my sheet?
It was just on the table tonight. I don't like voting on anything when we just get it tonight.
No, I think that's putting it on the table tonight. That's bull stuff.
Well, the only thing that's changed is the administrator.
People need to give it to me sooner.
No, yours got changed. That's 2.
To what? I didn't change mine.
You didn't?
Nope.
It's just.
I don't care if you don't change mine. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't passed and the stuff wasn't.
Guys.
You want to do
Get my hair
everything
dyed
next
again.
meeting?
Pointed out the.
I think so.
Let's do everything next meeting.
Fine.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Didn't you say you had a new payroll coming up that you needed to send for?
The insurance, but luckily we don't have to vote on that.
Next meeting.
So you want to wait and I'll rescind my motion to suspend the rules?
Resolution 2018-28, a first reading by caption only, a resolution amending Resolution 2018-07 to increase the amount of money being loaned to Hicksville Brewing Company LLC and declaring an emergency. That's just that difference. You guys talked about it the last meeting I was on here. The 20, yeah, from 130 to 150. So that one, somebody could suspend it.
I'm afraid to. So I'll wait.
I'll say we suspend the rules.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Baker?
Yes.
Barth?
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jones? Ridgway?
Yes. The second, third readings of Resolution 2018-28 by caption only, a resolution amending Resolution 2018-07 to increase the amount of money being loaned to Hicksville Brewing Company LLC and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second it.
Roll call, please.
Ridgway?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Beverly?
Big increase.
Ron?
You, yes, sure.
Bess? Baker?
Yes.
Barth?
Yes.
This, give us the front and the back. Okay, this one,
Yes.
okay.
Got a pen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did have it.
We'll take a little break here so people can get all their papers in order.
Too many pages.
Yeah, because this was the old one. It's okay, yes, you didn't change.
Yeah, that was the original. That's with 3%.
Man, I got papers everywhere.
I know. Then I asked the finance committee, and so everybody else got a 3%.
This first one I seen. I got a chance to go.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's all I have.
You guys doing okay now over there?
Yep.
Let me get back to you on that.
Okay, well, we're gonna go on.
Okay, all right.
And you have nothing else, Troy? Does anyone have any questions for Troy? Okay. Trying to think what else he was working on. So we're going to the department head reports. Our future chief, police chief, Mark, do you have anything to come up to the podium and talk to council about?
The only thing is I looked at the street signs on Rock Street, looking at that. I guess if our objective is to make sure that we have no more accidents, to me, it would make it a one-way street going the other direction. All right, if that's our whole objective. Otherwise, we can try the signs where they're at. The only thing I might add is maybe if we put at the intersection, because they do set far back from the intersection, so they understand that that's no left and no right at that intersection.
I say make it a one-way, stop the confusion.
I think they wanted to one time, but didn't you say the residents didn't want it that way?
There's only a couple houses on there.
I know.
One over here.
Betty was the one that really,
And Collins on this, or not Collins, but he's married to a house.
They can't go that way, what's the difference?
Exactly.
Really, that's our whole objection, is to make sure we have no further accidents there. And I think that would be the proper way to do it.
Maybe I'm in an alternate universe. And that's nothing against you. Didn't the last three properties say you wanted to keep it the way it was?
No, I said take it out.
Yeah, he wanted it.
And then the other two say keep it the way it was?
Well, just you and I.
What did we say?
It's just you and me.
Okay.
And you said.
That's why you didn't.
And you said you might as well just go ahead and pull the signs.
Yeah. I thought you did. Remember, I asked you at the other council meeting if you pulled it, and you said no, you wanted to wait.
Because you guys said to.
Well, somehow,
Maybe I have to check into Toledo. I don't know.
I think the health lady needs to reevaluate her.
I didn't send mine in. Yeah.
Move the sign.
Pull them.
Because Ron wasn't here. Yeah.
Right.
We went without Ron, and he changed the whole thing when he came back.
Okay,
Next
it's
time,
one
show
way
up,
now,
Ron.
right?
No.
You're not in or now?
No. You're just not supposed to turn. You can drive up and down if all you want.
You just can't turn
Left or right.
Turn left or right.
So why not just leave as is?
Because you got a sign at the very end that says no left or right turn.
So once you get there, you gotta back up or something.
Yeah.
I still think we're gonna put concrete barriers at the end of it.
State won't let you.
That's not gonna work. Personally, I just pull the signs and let it a regular two-way street like it's been for 100 years, but that's just me.
People pull out their.
They still do, so.
Well,
I mean,
Smith Street and Elm Street's the same thing.
I know, that's worse than pulling off a rock. But you tell me what you want done. I'm writing it in big letters this time.
Do you have,
Put names underneath.
do you have
Come down Elm
a
Street.
tally or how many accidents we've had there?
Yeah.
This all came about one accident about 6-7 years ago.
Has there been a lot of accidents?
Count is very low, Mark.
No.
But it's just, there's been so many close calls.
It's just a blind intersection.
Yeah.
Like you said, Smith and Elm.
Smith and Elm's worse.
As you come up by the viaduct. So you just want me to pull and leave it two-way like it's been forever?
Someone could make a motion, you can take the vote on it to make it clear and simple.
Please.
For which way?
Go back to committee.
Make a motion.
Go back to committee.
I actually thought we'd get some feedback from the residents in between meetings. Did you happen to hear from anybody?
Not a word.
Neither did I. And I thought, sure.
Well, that's the next.
Let me say this about that. My opinion only. That man's been in law enforcement for over 30 years. I'm gonna take his recommendation. He says make it a one-way because he's been down there, he's looked at it, he's checked it over. If he says make it a one-way, let's make it one-way. But don't vote on it tonight. Let the press tell the general public that it's gonna be one-way. See if there's any complaints from down there. Roll on.
Well, it's basically one way now.
Yep.
So you'd have it one-way coming off of High. So when we
Yes.
suck leaves, I guess we'll just break the law and go down, because we can't go down that side.
Just go down and then take the alley alongside of Betty's.
That's a tight fit. Whirlers is gonna have a tough time. They gotta get both sides.
Can't you just make it one way from the alley down?
We talked about that.
It's kinda like,
That's what about
kinda what it is now.
Leave it as is.
I think leave it as is.
Like I said, we haven't had a close calls, there's close calls all the down.
I say let them take a chance like Frogger and pull out on High Street.
Same as Smith and Elm.
No one wins at Frogger.
You know, I thought there was a lot of accidents there, but like I said, anymore, there's close calls everywhere. There's just people, when we drive anymore.
Well, nobody's going to make a motion, it sounds like, to bring this to a head, so...
I can make a motion.
Was the committee's recommendation ever voted on or anything?
My recommendation was remove the signs and let it go as it is. Just two-way traffic and stop the confusion.
What do you think of that, Mark?
That's fine. I mean, I thought there was probably a ton of accidents there, and that's was the main objection.
Accident count is low, very low.
You know, I thought that was, that's the way I was taking it the last meeting, that maybe you guys have had a lot of accidents there, and, you know, I suggested the mirror thing, but then, of course, that'll be vandalized, and we'll be replacing mirrors all the time.
Well, I appreciate you looking into that, and giving us your opinion, and then we'll see if this goes anywhere after tonight, okay?
So,
Do you have anything else that you would?
Where did it go?
It's gone one way.
Okay, so the signs are staying up.
That was a joke.
I'm making a motion just to take the signs down, stop the confusion, make it two-way.
I'll second that.
Can we do that?
Roll call, please.
That's why I kept hearing differing.
Baker?
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Jones?
No.
Ridgway?
Yes.
Beverly?
No, I want to leave it like it is.
Barth?
I leave it like it is, too.
Mayor?
3-3. That goes to you.
I say take the signs down.
Well, you don't get back room with that meeting taking place.
There goes the re-election.
So it's going to be two-way street.
It just stops the confusion. I've known a lot of people, it turned left or right, and they didn't really see it because where the sign was, and there was just confusion.
that's why it asked to add that at the intersection. Because I can see that.
Access to the alley, so they could turn around, and then that's 50 feet. Right from the
And there's nothing there anyhow, from the alley to the highway.
So I'll pull them this week.
They can have one of them
You can always revisit it. No, I'm not throwing them out.
Just in case you have to put it back.
Put them around.
Thank you for
Thank you.
Thank you.
giving us your opinion on it.
All right.
Do you have anything else that you want to update council on?
Not that I can think of.
Does anyone have any questions for him?
All right, have you had a chance to meet all the officers or gone?
Yeah, I'm still waiting to talk to the ones that were on third shift. I have not had a chance to get with them to meet with them. We're going to be having a staff meeting. We're looking at possibly I think it's the 11th.
For those of you that don't know, he has put in a lot of time already of his own time.
So,
Cheryl, are we okay with swearing him in at the next council meeting on the 17th, I believe? All right,
so,
we'll plan on that. Thank you.
all right, thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, we will have the fire chief, Scott Kramer.
Just a few things. Tonight on the table is the monthly EMS list. You see majority over in the village. Just 4 of those runs around the townships. EMS class starts January 7th. If anybody's interested, get an application in. ASAP so we can get fingerprints done. It will be in Williams County EMS in Bryan from 8 to noon on Mondays and Thursdays. 8 a.m. to noon.
Your EMS class is starting. Do you have any people enrolled?
We have one enrolled.
One enrolled. Where will
She's
the
got
meeting be?
fingerprinted last
Where will they go?
Williams County, north of Bryan on 15. Williams County EMS office. Christmas for kids. The cutoff date is December 7th. All applications need to be in. There will be a letter mailed to you if you're accepted, and the pickup is December 6th or December 17th from 6 to 8. Just a couple public service reminders. If you're using space heaters, don't plug them in an outlet strip, plug them in directly to the wall. And if you have a live Christmas tree, keep it watered, please. Because if you don't, there's a chance we will.
Oh, my.
How are the collections, the toy collection going?
Pretty good.
Okay.
How'd you guys do on uptown here for?
For the live drive?
Yeah.
I'm not sure on the dollar amount, but they was pretty busy.
Good.
Thank you for doing that.
Yep.
So people need to have their applications in by the 7th, did you say?
Yes.
And where do they take them to?
There's a box out front.
Okay, box out front of City Hall.
City Hall, yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Are you doing EMS report also?
Yeah, the one that was laid down tonight.
Okay.
I just got it today as well, this afternoon.
Well, I mean, you did report on EMS, but
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was anything else.
I don't believe so.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, and no one here from the park, I see. We will go on to the fiscal officer's report.
I'm starting with the fund status report, and behind that you should find a purchase order listing. And you can look that over and see if that's what you want to see, or if you want something added. I have a letter from CIC, and it's just a request. They didn't have an increase or anything for their fee for next year. The 2016-17 audit has officially been released, so it's online if anybody wants to see it. The utility and income tax collections for the month of November, and I also have Mayor's Court and Police Department collections, and a letter from MediaCom with the rate hike.
One thing I noticed that our refuge collections were $17,310, and looking at the approved bills, we only were billed $1,600 and something, so we made profit of about $100 probably.
Pay an old bill or something?
It probably was 2 months ago.
Speaking of rural and general pickup, at Christmas time, when we have everybody putting stuff out on the curbs, boxes and packages, is that something they're gonna pick up? I can't remember what.
They made a comment when they came here last time that they would work with the community on that, so.
They did pick up extra last year.
Yeah, so they didn't charge any extra, they understood that, so.
I wouldn't hear it. Don't look at me.
I guess maybe touch base, could you touch base with them and find out how they want to do that, or if they want it in bags or boxes? I know last time their guys got out and they loaded up all the stuff, so, last year.
Yeah, you better ask, have a general pickup, and all this stuff's sitting out, and they don't pick it up, so.
When comes along?
Well, don't they have to call? I think you had to call.
Not for Christmas time, they said they'd work with the community on that.
I remember you said with most of the communities they deal with is extra.
I mean, it's not all trash pickup where they're gonna get rolls of carpet and everything, but extra toy boxes and stuff like that, they're gonna take.
Okay, I had on my desk when I came in this afternoon that we had a notice of annexation of real estate. The adjacent and across the street property owners are Jeff Green, Hewards, Hicksville Township trustees, and Hicksville Exempted Village School District. So I think that probably it's Justin's property. So Troy is going to be...
You're gonna have to pass a resolution about the services that would be provided. I gotta look at the statute again, but that's my recollection, like within 20 days, I think it is, of receiving it. So at our next meeting, we'd have to pass the resolution, and then, as long as their application meets all those requirements, probably the county then just acts on it and signs off on it.
Is that the corner lot there where the coffee grow is?
I did not bring notes with me tonight, but I would like all of you to help me to mention the events coming up. And there's paper on my desk. It is just reminding people that the Crippled Children and Adult Society, that's several townships together, Joint Farmer, Mark, Milford, and Hicksville, are welcoming donations. The donations are used to supply the following items at no charge to you: canes, stool risers, lift chairs, crutches, shower benches, walkers, commodes, wheelchairs, miscellaneous services and miscellaneous equipment, and rollators. So, if you want to donate to them, I have a form here for your tax deductible donation. and you can send it to them at P.O. Box 154, Hicksville. P.O. Box 154 if you want to make a donation to crippled children.
And I know they have an excess of medical hospital beds. If anybody needs one in their home, they're looking at homes for these. And a lot of times they will donate them to other agencies, organizations, even third world countries. But I think they have several that if somebody could use them right now, if they were at home healing or bed rest at home, that they could bring these beds in and utilize them within the home. So there's several people in the community and in the county that belong to that organization. But if you need a phone number or anything, just call me at my office and I'll get you to the right people if they need those kind of beds.
Okay. Any other events that we know about coming up around town?
I think this is the last week of the Christmas cruise through, so if you haven't been out there, go check it out. It's really neat, and I believe this is the week, or at least the next few
Fireworks
days.
is Sunday, isn't it?
100% of the donations goes to the cruise through itself, so.
And Sunday, 5:45, 6 o'clock is the fireworks display. And I know they had told me, I'm working down there a little bit helping, they said that as a very congested evening that night, everybody wants to see the fireworks and the lights and Santa Claus, and they said just be patient. They get people within the fairgrounds. The fire marshal, you have to stay there until the fireworks are done, everything is cleared. Any sparks or debris from the fireworks is gone or not a hazard, then they allow people to leave the fairgrounds. So if you are going down to the fairgrounds, be patient. You can see them pretty much throughout town, the fireworks, but I know they want you to participate down there at the fairgrounds. So should be a good evening and a good weekend for it.
I get a magazine through a co-op, the electric company that the shop building is on, and there's a big write-up in there about the reindeer from LaRue, Ohio, about the guy and his wife that started the reindeer and how and everything. And then it goes on to highlight Hicksville's Christmas cruise through and how much the wife enjoys being in Hicksville.
That's cool.
It's about time for Santa Claus to come to town, isn't it?
Chamber.
Is it a parade? Anybody?
December 8th.
5:30 parade?
You go by Santa Claus?
Where does it start?
It starts uptown and then goes down by the Huber.
Okay.
And they'll have Santa on the Huber porch.
Good. Okay, anything else people know about going on around town?
What about the commodities? What'd you guys decide? Nothing?
Under discussion.
Okay.
He came up with me last week. Schools are having their big Christmas concert, which I think is going to be with the fifth grade kids all the way up to the high school. That's going to be starting at 6 o'clock at the Huber on Friday, the 14th of December.
Thanks, no one.
It's not school.
So go ahead. Did you guys get your conversation going?
He was up today last week and we talked about it. I'll get back to him.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to discuss or say?
Make motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call?
Jones?
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Ridgway?
Yes.
Beverly? Marth?
Yes.
Thank you, Steve, for coming and saying prayer for us.
Thank you.